Hi, we're going to do things a little differently today. I've been thinking lately about counting time and having a sober date. And those who are close to me know that I haven't been having necessarily a great time lately. I haven't been doing so great. I've had just regular life stress things kind of compounding on each other, and I haven't been coping very well. So I'm still sober, but my self-care's gone out the window. I usually cut and dye my hair when I feel like I can't control anything else. It's like my little cry for help, except there's that saying, no one is coming. I mean, people are as supportive as they can be, and I really appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to take care of myself. I do my self-care. I have to get myself up in the morning, and I'm the only one who can keep me sober. And so that means taking care of myself. I've amassed this good number of days sober, and it's kind of good for you when people ask how long I've been sober, and then it almost just ends the conversation then, because you did it, you're sober. What about all the things that are indicators of good balanced living, of health, using the coping skills that I've learned to use in order to get and stay sober? So I thought today I would take you through a day where I'm gonna do a couple of little self-care things that have been lacking or that might help me feel a little bit more normal. Let's call it a vlog. Come on, let's go. Okay, self-care step 1. Sit and look at the cat. Hi, Finky. So first things first, I need to regain some control of this hair situation because I went hard. I've been trying to decide if I should bleach it and then just commit to a reddy orangey color for a little bit, or bleach it and go back to my really white platinum blonde that I had. And I'm thinking, since I've deposited some red on here, it's probably not going to lift all of it when I bleach, so I probably will end up just putting some orange on there. And then I also just have to fix the back. There's a hairdresser on here somewhere who says the back of my head is none of my business, but I do want to tidy it up a little bit and make it look not so much like we're having a mental breakdown. I actually cut all my kids' hair too, but I'm much more deliberate and cautious with theirs, and I do try to do the hair that they're asking for. I still want to look like whatever I did was on purpose and not done by a 3-year-old, but not as attached to my hair looking a certain way in order to feel beautiful or whatever. I've always been kind of messing with it. But yeah, it's obviously super duper short, but it'll grow out before I know it. So it's okay. It's okay. And if I need to grasp dramatically at control of something in order to not grab for something super damaging, I'm gonna do it. But like I said, often when I get to this point where I'm coloring and dyeing, where I'm cutting and coloring my hair, it's because things aren't going well, and it's time for me to hear that cry for help and answer it. So this is my favorite hair bleach. I get the big tub of it because it's worthwhile for me because I use it a lot. From Sally. It says to mix it with 20, 30, or 40 volume. I use 30. My hair is really fine, so I know it bleaches a lot more easily than some people's, but for me, I find 30 is the middle ground where it works quickly, so it doesn't have to be on my hair for as long, but it's not working so strongly that it turns my hair into goose down and falls out. So there it is. It actually it smells kind of good. I mean, don't sniff it, but the one downside to having a dark bleach product like this is that it can be deceiving as far as you sort of have to really have a look underneath to see how the hair is doing. It can make it look like it's cooler than it is. I think I'm gonna start with the hairs that absorbed the red the most. I'm all out of gloves, so I'm gonna do this the crazy way. One of the reasons I started Calm, Confident, Sober, if you don't know, is that I felt stagnant in my own recovery journey. I didn't know what you're supposed to do after you've kind of done all the things and you're just starting to build up sober time and not much else. So I wanted to revisit all the great materials that I had been given in various contexts and find a way to consolidate them and also remind myself to apply them in my life. So over the past 7 months now, I've been making these videos and I actually have been benefiting a lot from it. Despite my current state, I've been enjoying it a lot. And I've been remembering things, learning new things about myself. One unexpected but downside is that I'm online more now because I am posting online more. And there's just that thing of you post online and then you kind of want to see if anyone said anything or has anybody been watching or, and if you do get comments or notifications, then you are pulled back on. And so I definitely have, over the past few months, been on my phone, on social media, way more than I usually would be. And I'm definitely wanting to find more of a balance. Partly, I think that will be focusing more of my efforts on the YouTube content and also just on the longer form videos, because I think they give you more time to say what you want to say. And also, I feel like the short form content, we're meant to kind of consume it as if it's more disposable, but I've been putting a lot of work into my little 3-minute thingies, and I want people to be able to, or I want people to feel like coming back to them if they want to remember something. And I don't know, what do you think about shorts and reels and stuff? I mean, I've saved reels, but I get to the point where I'm saving every reel, and a lot of them I don't think I'm gonna come back to. But okay, so I kind of I used my fingers, I worked it in, it's pretty worked in there, and it's looking fab. So I'm gonna put a cap on and leave this on for 20 minutes. See you soon. We're also gonna remember to drink water today. Here's liter 1. Cheers. Okay. See how it's pretty hard to tell, but yeah. Let's go wash it. Okay, so while we're indecisive about that, get ready with me while we talk about counting time. Put this on your list, wish list, birthday list. It's very good, and it's Canadian, and it's not owned by a big monster company. Anyway, 2nd liter of water. So one thing I have been wanting to talk about, counting time, has been on my mind recently because someone in my Smart Recovery group was asking about it. in SMART, we're not encouraged to count time. We're not like discouraged from it, but it's just not part of the program. So yeah, I realized that I have like things that I think about counting time. And being someone who's been working on my recovery for years and has hit day one, I mean, how many day ones have I had? Misha BB cream with SPF 42. It's in the color 13, which is good for pale ladies like me. And it's really inexpensive. There's misha.ca, you can get it. So I have an interesting relationship with counting time. Like, obviously I know the day that I got sober because that was the day that I checked into the detox facility. So yeah, I know that I went into detox this last time, October 10th, 2024. And I also have that, I think it's called I Am Sober, the app that just kind of counts in the background for you. Like you can look at it any day and it'll tell you how many days you have. And if you have a day where you slip or whatever, you just enter it into the app and it starts the count again for you. When I was using it in those days of like not being able to maintain much time at all, it was very useful because I could see a pattern emerging of like how often I was slipping and how long it would last. But when you're in it, also, information can be power and it also can be pain. At this point, I don't check it ever. I recently checked it because someone asked me how many days I have. Normally I would say like, oh, blah, blah months or like, you know, about a year. But I actually didn't know, so I looked and I had passed like a 500-day milestone, which is cool to see. But I have a brain that can obsess about perfection and all or nothing thinking, so it's better for me to just kind of forget about that app running in the background and then just have it there for those moments. In the early times, I was checking it compulsively because every day, every like hour feels like forever. So seeing it tick up, it was like, please, milestone, any milestone, please. If I'm looking all over the place, I've got a mirror here and I've got my notes. I'm just reading a little bit off of. I've been thinking a lot about the phenomenon of counting time and what it's meant to represent and what happens if and when we have to reset. So I think we all know that counting time is deeply embedded in 12-step culture. In fact, from the outside looking in, it appears to be the most important thing. Getting the chips for 24 hours, 30 days, was it 60 days, 90 days, a year, you know, a cake for a year, like, hello, yes, please. But, you know, it does feel like a very central part of the indicators of a successful recovery in 12-step programs is your consecutive sober time. And there's good reason for those chips. Like early recovery, like I said, it can be so torturous and long, and it can feel like we're putting in a whole lot of work for not very much payoff. This is Bareback from Nude Sticks. So it can feel like having something, anything to look at, to hold in your hand that indicates that you have been doing something, that it has been for something, when it feels like nothing else is really changing other than the fact that you're not drinking or using drugs. Like it can feel like it's the absence of that thing that used to take up all of my time and energy, but what is it being replaced with? Because for the first while, it can kind of feel like nothing. Like it's not replaced by anything. It's just replaced by the screaming void of all of life and having no idea what to do with all of my raw feelings and time and emotions and essence. So yeah, if you've ever tried to get sober and you've gotten to like the first full day, or man, how many times did I make it to just 3 days? 3 days, it feels so long. So yeah, holding on to that something in your hand is like a meaningful representation of all of that work, time, and sacrifice, the thousands of millions of hours that go into those first 24 hours. And yeah, it's something concrete that you're actively earning. And that growing number can be the only thing that appears to be changing day in and day out. So when that number gets big enough, it can be almost less about trying to add, one more day and make that number meaningful. The number can become meaningful, and it can sort of become its own reward, and it can become its own momentum, because it goes from being something that you're desperately trying to get to being something that you're desperately trying not to lose. Maybe desperately doesn't always apply, but the idea of losing it becomes more and more unappealing and daunting. And especially if you're in a community that really validates that number. I mean, who doesn't want to be in a community around people who are celebrating and acknowledging your achievement, and with cake too? Especially if you've been alone for a lot of these years, if the addiction itself, the time in it was really lonely, or if time in sobriety has become very lonely, which it can. Heck yes, celebrate together, right? Yes to cake. Yes to cake is what I always say. I don't know, I just said it for the first time, but it's true. On the other hand, I think about what happens when you do lose that number, because relapse is not just realistic or possible, it's common. A lot of people acknowledge that it's a common, normal part of recovery, but in the counting space, I don't feel it being acknowledged in that way quite as much. I myself have had relapses, several. I mean, we've talked before about how do you decide what's called a relapse and what's called a lapse or a slip. The language doesn't matter as much as what we're doing with it. But I'm in a program that doesn't encourage counting of time, and still I kind of know how many days it's been, and when I lose it, I really feel like I've failed. Even if I'm not counting, I know the difference between a number above 0 and 0. I know when I'm on day 1. And returning to day 1 does feel like failure and loss, even if the numbers counting isn't part of your program. I think partly it's because it's culturally ingrained, and partly I think we just like our achievements, and we like the feeling of having achievements and the way that people's responses to our achievements make us feel. But where did all that growth and learning go that I gained along the way? It didn't go anywhere, right? I think we can assume that I wasn't just only learning wrong things and growing artificially. It was good things I was learning and good growing that I was doing. And there's something called the abstinence violation effect, which is just that. When we've blown that abstinence, that perfect black and white accomplishment, there's the all or nothing collapse that can happen after a slip. I blew it. It's all gone. Why bother? And I personally believe that the way we talk about counting time can make that worse. If the number means everything, then losing it means that I've lost everything. I think this is kind of new. Essence Satin Blend. I like it. Mm-hmm. So here's a different way of looking at it. Say someone is sober for a year, and then they relapse and drink for a week. And then they get back on track, and they're sober again for another year. In a counting time framework, their sobriety is 1 year. Everything before the slip or relapse doesn't count. But in a health and growth framework, they have 2 years of sobriety with a week in the middle. So we're looking at the markers besides consecutive numbers of growth and progress and learning. Which of those things is more true? I'd argue the second one. Recovery isn't a straight line. People's paths have bends in them and setbacks and restarts and adjustments. A number that only counts the uninterrupted stretch may not be telling the whole story. And I find it so much more meaningful to ask myself how my sleep is. Have I been more present with my kids? Do I trust myself more? Can I recognize and regulate my emotions? Do I feel like my relationship with alcohol has changed genuinely? I feel that Those things have a lot more to say about how I'm doing than simply a number does. In my experience too, well-meaning people may fall back on that as their way of checking in on you. You know, how long has it been now? How are you doing? But like numerically, oh, it's been this long. Oh, that's great. And it can be kind of a conversation ender. Because like in my case right now, I'm going through a spell, you know? Things have been kind of not letting up for a while. Just regular life things, regular life stresses. But I'm still really early on in this, and I am not immune to a setback or a slip, and I want to do everything I can to avoid it. Sometimes it feels like I'm back in my addiction, just minus the substance, and I want to be really careful not to be in a relapse now without the substance, because then all it takes is one extra little last straw for me to hit that button. I'm very thankful that lately playing the tape forward has been effective for me, because on those days when I'm just feeling like like inescapable this and that, I'm able to remember that it would be still the inescapable this and that plus guilt plus dry mouth and headache and feeling nauseous and, you know, like plus all the bad stuff. I've had enough slips now where the first thing that I felt after taking that first sip was, oh, this is worse. This is worse. Yeah, like I said, I grab my control where I can get it and I go from there. I am going to tone this, I think, but I don't mind it too much. Electric peach is okay for now. It's also important to exercise, and that's something that I haven't been doing. Like, I just haven't been, as you can tell. But I know how, and yeah, I need to reprioritize my schedule, my time, start moving this body again. And I've been saying that for the longest time. I've got time now. I'm gonna go lift some weights.
Spine, core is turned on. Nice. Roll up towards the hip. Low to the middle of your foot. Inhale down. Exhale, drive and stand. Nice work, team. Dumbbell is from your chest. The more core you're going to turn on. 5 more seconds. Down and up. You got it. Finish strong. Let's go. I like to think about crushing oranges in my armpits. Almost there. 4, 3. Squat and curl. We're hitting legs and biceps. For the final move, time and rest time are going to drop. So now you're going down to 30 seconds of work. That left wrist out, that left forearm. So proud of you guys. Another workout soon.
So I think I'll end the video there for today. I think I am gonna tone my hair, but I'm actually kind of liking this like little pastel electric peach color. The kids at school call me Mrs. Peach, so I feel like I'm living my destiny. When I do tone it, I use the Virgin Snow from Manic Panic, and sometimes it overtones it to like a bit of this purpliness, but this time it'll probably just take the yellow tones out. Anyway, thanks for helping me to have a more productive self-caring day today. Hitting record and looking forward to editing it all into a video helps me to start things and follow through on them. So maybe I'll do more of these vloggy hybrid videos. Let me know what you think of that, if you like that or if it stressed you out. I also really like the really quiet, almost wordless kind of puttering type vlog videos. I find them really relaxing and soothing. I've made a couple of short ones and people seem to like them, so I think I'd like to get into making some of those, maybe either alternating them with my sit down talking videos or morphing them together or replacing them. I'd love to hear what you think about that. I hope you're remembering to take care of yourself. I hope you're remembering to celebrate your small victories and your big ones. Really coincidentally, I looked on that I Am Sober app just a few minutes ago, and apparently today is 18 months exactly of sobriety. So that's purely coincidental, but it's kind of cool. And like I said before, there's that consecutive time, and then there are the years before that where I learned a lot, grew a lot, worked a lot, and then also had some slips and relapses. and I'm not immune to those things happening again now. Please comment your thoughts and questions, and I will see you soon. And until then, take care of yourself. Ooh-ah, I'm back. That was Friday. This is Sunday. Friday afternoon, my daughter broke her knee doing long jump, and yesterday was my other daughter's 15th birthday. But I just wanted to film a little follow-up conclusion to this video. I did tone my hair with this little guy, and it did overtone. I've got like little purple kind of blotchies in here, but historically they fade, or it all kind of becomes blonde pretty quickly. Then what I tend to do is maintain it with purple shampoo, and then sometimes a little bit of like purple dye, really lightened in conditioner, or like these guys. This is Stoned Pony, and then this is a silver one that I think is discontinued, but together they kind of make a nice little thing. So actually, you know what? It kind of gives me something to do. It's a little bit of a creative outlet when I'm not doing it impulsively and reactively. So if you're interested in doing that kind of thing, I do recommend this stuff. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by any of these people. And heads up, in case it wasn't obvious, the first step to bleaching your hair platinum blonde is not putting a reddish orange on top of your natural color. That'll set you back a little bit. That was the impulsive, and thankfully it came out really easily for me. So let me know if you have any questions on any of all of that. I think this video was kind of a lot, but I also kind of like how this was a bit of a demonstration of how overall on my trajectory, I am going in the right direction. I'm doing well, and I'm so thankful to be sober still. And I'm proud too to be sober still. And there are going to be days where I feel like the only thing I really accomplished was not backsliding and not drinking. And I don't like those days, and I always feel like it's not enough, but I have to remind myself that it is enough, and it's a gift to be able to just keep going forward when I'm able. If you're looking for a little tool to help put a couple of important kind of anchoring activities on the schedule, then you can go to my links and download the free PDF. It's called Mooring Lines, and it explains what mooring lines are and how to use them. And it's another one of those ever-evolving tools that can always be useful no matter what stage we're at. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon. And until then, take care of yourself.